Hey everybody, this is Rhino and we're back to Darkest Dungeon. So we're at week 83 here, and at the end of the last episode, this game had pretty much worn the last bits of my patience. Why am I getting an achievement just for logging in? Why does that happen twice in this game?
I can still see their angry faces as they stormed the manor. But I was dead before they found me. And the letter was on its way.
Yeah, anyways, what I was saying was, this game has tried my patience, and I have very little left for it. So I decided to go and look at a tips and tricks video, which unfortunately, because of the balancing nature in which they've just added patches and tweaks to this game over time, I'm not 100% sure any of the tips or tricks that I saw were accurate, but it told me some things and I'm going to take them on face value as being true, which basically means everything I thought was wrong. Like, basically, the game said don't ever bother upgrading the tavern or the abbey, or really even the sanitarium. And there is a question certainly of scale here. Maybe what the tips video was saying is don't bother doing that because you really need to do these first, which that's understandable, but also we are just far too many hours into this game for this to be just the beginning of a second act. And unfortunately, it kind of does feel like this is closer to being the beginning of a second act. There is seemingly, according to the tips video, not really a lot of value in quirks. Like, it wasn't even mentioned. There was an emphasis that basically any team can be good. It said don't bother upgrading the survivalists. It says don't bother making the bank, which, okay, that sort of makes some sense. By the way, this Red Hook, the company that made this game is called Red Hook, so that's why it's a Red Hook monument. But yeah, it's not really even was emphasizing getting the cartographer's camp. More, I think, interested in just one of these other buildings, and I don't even remember which one. That, like, Outsiders Bonfire. I didn't even see this one. Yeah. Apparently, the Vestal is incredibly powerful at level 6, and potentially any of these characters that haven't been leveled up are also incredibly powerful at level 6, and the game just doesn't really tell you anything about that or show it to you. So, yeah, there's some problems here, certainly, as far as the game just not onboarding me. I want to just be done with it. I want to just figure out a way to see if we can defeat the bosses with our level 6 characters, which maybe we can, maybe we can't, and just be done with it. Like, I really just don't have enough patience for this. I didn't hear anything about any kind of rewards. I didn't hear anything really caring about items as far as tips and tricks. Now, there is a little picture that they said take a screenshot of, and which I did, that better explains the items you should carry with you, and the types of attacks you should do. So basically, in the ruins, you should try to inflict, I would assume that this green teardrop means blight. You try to inflict blight attacks in the ruins. You also try to inflict blight attacks in the cove. So blight on these two. In the ruins, you should take a holy water, at least one, a couple of keys, very few shovels, which, what does that even mean? And then 1 or 2 antidotes max for the ruins. For the cove, you should take bandages, a few extra torches, and a few shovels. So whatever very few is, more than very few for the cove. Which honestly, at a certain level, it kind of feels like that's just being fairly nebulous. Sure, I guess if you were doing a long run, you would need more shovels than doing a short run in the ruins. But, yeah. As far as the wield, you should inflict bleeding more often. You should have more shovels, bandages, and medicinal herbs for food salvage. And then in the warrens, the warrens characters resist blight, and you should inflict bleeding. You should have disease curing camping skills, which this is basically the only mention of camping that I think the tips and tricks really pointed out. And then you should have blight resistance and a couple of shovels and bandages. So maybe that helps a little bit, but doesn't really help a lot. If we want to fight the Necromancer Lord here, we would want something that could inflict blight. So bring that guy and then start to think about, do any of these characters otherwise have blight attacks? Are you really going to have 2 blight attack characters on a run? And then take the Abomination and take guess we can move this character here and then just try to figure out if a ranged blight character makes any sense at all. So this is just like a lot of blight attacks focused. And that's probably the best we can do, otherwise we're going to have to take this Axeman. It would need really something else equipped. He doesn't really have anything else equipped. The tips and tricks did talk about like focusing on speed being the #1 thing you would want to increase, and then damage percentage and then protection or something, or vice versa. Hard to remember. I'm not even gonna attest to knowing the correct response on any of that. Alright. So suffice it to say, I'm somewhat exhausted here. So it says holy water, a couple of keys, very few shovels, and 1 or 2 antidotes max. Which, what does an antidote even mean? Because it's not a word. And that was one of the things about the tips and tricks video too that really confused me, is that they say the antidote, and antidote's just not even a thing. Do they mean anti-venom? Probably. Or do they mean medicinal herbs? From my own experience, I think I want this. Very few shovels, I'll take a 3rd one. Anyways. And that's all of our money. Let's embark. This is almost
I brought my colleagues
almost certainly a
back
fool's
with
errand.
much of their intellect intact. A remarkable triumph for even the
The
most experienced
biggest
necromancer.
issue, though,
Freed from the trappings of their
by
humanity, they plied their
is
terrible trade
that there is a
anew.
trick to this
The
game
dead, reviving
that
the
you would
dead,
never
on and
remember,
on, down
or
the
you'd never
years,
figure out.
forever.
And it is kind of infuriating after even kind of knowing that this game has done a terrible job of
walks
telling
these
people.
halls.
Um,
Only the mad or the desperate go in search of him.
the trick to this game is to have a lot more scouting than I probably do right now, to avoid ambushes, and to snuff out the light, which it says here you can snuff that out with Control, Shift, Click at the end of every run. You're not supposed to pick up any of the curios to begin with. And I probably will ignore this advice this run, because I really do just want to run towards the boss fight. Which the boss fight is always in the furthest distance, so I don't even need to check this. It's always the square that is furthest away from your starting point, which means you almost certainly can figure it out. Sometimes maybe it'd be a little bit more difficult. But the gold generated in curios and chests is not calculated at all until the end of till you open it. So if you wait till the end of the game to do that, and then snuff out your light to 0%, that gives you a massive increase in the amount of gold you have. Right. If I basically have to transform here. I was thinking about not doing that, but whatever. You really don't have a choice otherwise. The tips and tricks said really nothing about the areas being leveled up. So maybe there's nothing to really be said around that, although it does seem like that would be a big factor. The tips and tricks said nothing about
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
about defeating the Darkest Dungeon the first run, which
Continue
really
the onslaught.
I need to just do that.
Destroy them all.
Like, there really is no way to get around it. So yeah, you would just leave this, normally speaking, and then you would walk all the way back. In this case, I'm going to ignore that. We have an antiquarian here, so we're getting a massive amount of reward already. Who has the most disarm? 60, 110. Obviously, you have to disarm traps. So yeah, you can see here that when it gets below 75, the you start to get negative stress and monster crits, and monsters are less likely to be surprised. Your dodge goes down, scouting goes down. So through the first run, you definitely want to be above 75, but you just snuff it out. Also, if you're at exactly 0 light, pitch is black, that creates a different scenario for you, because you then potentially get the, what I'm assuming is in the Minds of Madness character with the giant character with the tentacle face like a Cthulhu monster, that occurs more often, and that specifically, that monster fight will specifically give you more rewards too. Now, at a certain level, I will admit, it's in the name. It does make some sense that a game called Darkest Dungeon would potentially give you some effect for actually being in the dark that might be positive, but the fact that you see so many negative effects when you just go down below 75 doesn't really inspire any thought that you should get down all the way to 0. The game has, on a couple of occasions, caused it to be pitch black, but I haven't looked and read. And that was probably the number one suggestion that I am doing wrong, and I am not going to correct. The number one tip is to read every single piece of text you can. Like every pop-up text, everything here. The game is just a nightmare, for lack of a better term, of dialogue and text that it really, really wants you to read, and will allow you to punish yourself horrifically if you don't read it. And so I can't even really make a lot of legitimate complaints about the game not telling me things when I didn't bother to listen when it was telling me things. And inherently, I think that just kind of points out that it is really not quite the game for me. I don't know if this is quite the game for a lot of players. What is also very shocking
death, unforeseen,
is Darkest Dungeon 2 has been announced, and I heard nothing of it. I've tried very, very hard to be up to date with video game news. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I stream and look at all the video game news from 3 different news sources to try to just generally know that. I look at every single video game that's come out on Steam during those streams. Like I bend over backwards more than practically anybody else to be up to date with this information. I follow Video Games Chronicle, GameDeveloper.com, and Gematsu. That's not to say any of those are actually good news sources. They're just tolerable news sources that I've found. Although I would say I kind of do like Gematsu.
Mortality clarified in a single strike.
But I have not heard any announcement of a Darkest Dungeon 2, and that is shocking. It's supposed to be out in February of 2023, which honestly, this footage probably won't even be out by then. This guy's like, where are you screwed here? This is just ridiculous. Every time I try to do these runs, like, either the Vestial is going to heal these guys.
Now the true test. Hold fast or expire.
Yeah, what am I doing? Just retreat.
The sin is not in being outmatched, but in failing to recognize it.
Do we have any laudanum? Just make sure nobody's at Death's Door, and let's just get out of here. Just forget it.
Reassemble.
Yeah.
Evil
It
is
just doesn't
timeless,
work.
after all.
And why does that not work? I have no idea. Why are all these characters getting that much stress? See, the tips and trick guide that says basically there are no bad characters, that they've all been balanced so perfectly, just doesn't really feel like that's quite right. Maybe there are bad teams, but not bad characters. That's somewhat believable.
A modest offering from those few surrounding farms as yet untouched by the spreading calamity.
We now know what a bumper crop is, as it just gives you free items. So that's good to know. Let's see. If we use this, or if we use this to get to that, would there be a problem there? Not if we just use a couple of them. I think that's where we need to go. Let's just say, give me that many, so that we can then upgrade that.
A sharper sword, a stronger shield, anything to prolong a soldier's life.
And maybe by improving your armor smithing, then you've got a real chance around that to just increase your dodge base and get back to the level you want to be at. The next move, though, would certainly be, can we get to 24 and just sacrifice everything else? We need 18 busts. So just trading out all of our portraits to do that. So everything is now leveled up. We can start to get level 4 characters that would be at the maximum defense, maximum attack, and would have not some but all of their characters at the max level, of their skills at the max level. The only thing that's not upgraded, if we find a level 4 character, would be their survivalist skills. However, this still kind of creates this big problem where we either want to take the Vestal out as a level 3 character. We really don't have a team of level 6s to do anything else. So, when you start with that concept, this one can only really attack in this position. Not really looking to try to take on the boss, not really. Lost and Found. All Saints Day. Resort Charm. Okay. So we gotta really experiment here, so let's start with the leper. And do we have any better Jester? No. Let's take the Jester. The Jester is basically a glass cannon character, so healing around him wouldn't be the worst thought. Well, are we even gonna finish like the snake fights? at this rate. But that's really is a question to ask. Because I really do question how much farther I'm willing to go down these paths. So we've got this Houndmaster. And we've got another Houndmaster. Okay. And this is the ruins again, so if I was going to believe what I had been told, I would follow those advice points. But there's really no reason to even follow the advice points, is there? All of this is free. So you would be a sucker to not just stack up as much as you possibly could stack up. And then I guess it would just start to boil down to max levels. Yeah, I think that's about as good as it could go. You certainly could get rid of the dog treats here and go with something more. But I don't know what the more thing would even want to be. So I'm just gonna bark. We're gonna try that strategy and see if this
there is power in
is
symbols.
right.
Collect the scattered scraps of faith and give comfort to the masses.
We need to gather 3 holy relics, which I guess what this boils down to is you avoid fights. Who has the most disarm? It's this one. That's not super surprising. Okay. So we don't really have to grab the holy relic. What we want to do is see. I think this is probably the one you want to deal with the most. Try the dog biscuit just to try it on some things. So yeah, we don't want to get these either. Since you're gonna have to fight in the room battles, we want to do the room battles in highlight and then work our way through that.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
That was a massive amount of damage, and that was very unexpected from the vessel.
The slow death,
Whatever this is called.
unforeseen,
Vestal.
unforgiving. As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Removing stresses. Not really a necessary effect. That was another tip and trick that it said is just avoid stress, don't try to remove stress.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Okay. Okay. The problem that we're going to run into undoubtedly is going to be a problem of upgrading material. Has everything been tried on this? This will do something. I already know. Really, I'm just wasting resources. Yep. If you're getting free resources, you could potentially enter a dungeon like this and then run away and just sell the resources. Yeah, what we're looking for here is a path.
Carelessness will find no clemency in this place.
A path that marks where all the locations of items are, so we can come back to it later. I don't know why I'm really interacting with those things. That this is exactly the kind of things I shouldn't be interacting with. I guess it's in part, it's just so antithetical to what I've been thinking to potentially just want to walk away from taking gold as soon as possible in favor of waiting till later and then doubling back on the dungeons. Inherently though, even the short dungeons are not that short, so it is going to be kind of a nightmare scenario, and any suggestion that snuffing out the light giving you more gold actually is that necessary or beneficial may fly out the window when we have to admit that most of the time we do have massive amounts of gold anyways. The Vestal is the only character that really can heal everybody. That's why at level 6 it is such a useful character as far as what they call the action economy.
Press disadvantage. Give them no quarter.
And yeah, again, if you just didn't need the upgrade material, you'd leave it. A trap, a curio, so we can just kind of ignore that and try and make a path that we'll walk backwards on. Should we be interacting with this right now? No. We'll come back and interact with it. And I guess that's where the ignore button comes in, too. Right. It's another curio. A lot of these items that you can interact with also basically say the key phrase where you should use bandages on the Iron Maiden because you can cut yourself.
Obliterated.
And so that is just like another example of me stupidly not being willing to read.
Unnerved, unbalanced.
And I have to remind myself that gathering the 3 holy relics is still the main thing, so at a certain level here I can't I can't just wander around. I do have to actually eventually pick up the items.
A momentary abatement.
The Vestal trying to heal themselves will max out the health of everybody else, potentially.
Success
there was
so
another
clearly in view.
hint
Or is it merely a trick of the
around
light?
the idea of... Let's just go ahead and drink a couple of these. There's another trick around the idea of setting up camp early to improve your scouting ability. Which, yeah, I might tell you something. So we know there's an obstacle here. Room battle with treasure. No battle here, no battle here. Quest locator here. Curio here, curio here. Quest location here, here, and here. So we go this way. We get through this fight. We go this way. We get through this fight. Well, actually, let's go down here and... No, yeah, let's go this way. There's really no choice there. You gotta go that way. But there's a question as just to when do I want to pull the trigger and camp, and when do I want to pull the trigger and snuff out the light.
Begone, fiend.
Oh, also there is a stall timer in this game that will seemingly always summon
Executed
more
with
characters
impunity.
or cause really negative effects. So the stall timer doesn't start until you have only one character left.
Back to the pit.
So if you're willing to potentially keep... Yeah, this is crazy to potentially hold on to this, but whatever. Nobody else can even eat any food. So if you're willing and capable of keeping 2 people alive, you can heal yourself in a battle like that. But that being said, I don't know
Devastating blow.
a lot of scenarios in which that makes sense, or that's anything that you'd ever want to
Another
do.
abomination cleansed from our lands.
These 2 very possibly will bleed to death.
Another one falls.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Right, what's the next thing we want to get rid of? Well, 6 keys. We're probably fine where we are. Let's just choose now to do this.
gathered
this.
close in tenuous firelight and uneasy companionship.
Alright. Armor piercing. Praying. That's pretty good. Reduce stress. It's probably one you'd want to go for. Yeah, we don't even have a ton of really good camping effects there, but that's fine. I think that worked particularly well. We may find that using items on
Secrets
curios,
and wonders can be found in the most tenebrous corners of this place.
that may be...
A singular strike.
Oh, there's this whole finale thing, by the way, for boss fights with this glass cannon character. Does like a really massive amount of damage.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
These guys have like no stress or damage.
The light, the promise of safety.
Okay.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Okay. So Control Shift click. Snuff it out.
Darkness closes in,
Or pitch is black.
haunting the hearts of men.
So this would give us light back. We can hear the sound effect is way different now. You can see we can take that. This is worth 750, which is I think probably worth getting rid of that for. And so what we're looking for now is just how much stress something like this might actually add to characters, which may not really be any, whether we're going to run into the Cthulhu-like characters at all.
Packs laden with loot are often low on supplies.
Down we go this way. We didn't get a shield breaker dream there, which that's strange to me. But it does seem like it's fairly safe. I'll just try everything once on this, even though almost certainly it's not going to interact with any of these things.
A handsome reward for a task well performed.
Well, there goes our laudanum. So a small holy altar seems out of place in the backdrop of this corruption. That doesn't interact with it. That doesn't interact with it. None of these interact with it. Let's see if holy water interacts with it. Yes. Meanwhile, we'll just walk backwards a little bit until we can go through this door. Now, it's worth remembering that this is a low-level team doing a low-level run, and so far we really haven't seen enough of a change. 100 gold and 3 of these just doesn't really seem like it that much. This is a just regular fight, it seems.
The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden.
So yeah, it may very well be more of a case that this is a, when you're at these like low level dungeons, some things won't trigger, or the odds of things triggering are just really low, and that you could very well, because of that, just always be in pitch blackness. Like, it's not really hurting me that much. This guy has a kind of decent amount of health, so I could see. Let's go with Divine Grace specifically on this character. Like, he would have to get pretty lucky to be able to do a killing blow on me. Although that doesn't always mean that will be the case.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
Take that. Set everybody back in the right position. I don't think any of these characters can benefit from anything. Holy water won't do anything because we're already affected. I could have gotten rid of torches, although I'm trying to hold on to the torches just out of some concerns for safety. And that was holy water, so getting a disease from that wasn't wise. Those 2 curios didn't pay off as nicely as I would have liked them to. Bunch of stress, but not really enough stress to matter. It being darker only slightly changes the effects of the game. I mean, it was already pretty difficult to see traps, particularly if you hadn't scouted them anyways. And this may just be a case where a short run is too short to really benefit from snuffing out the torch. if you were gonna do this, arguably maybe you should just snuff out the torch immediately and do it in your first run. I think we could probably just sell the anti-venom and then we'll sell this and take that. Even at level 3 we may just be too far along for this strategy to mean anything. Although it also may just mean that the strategy's just not as good as the tips and tricks guide was. It does say loot +3, so the game is definitely implying that you would be getting a lot more loot. That's not really doing anything for me. I would expect that I would be collecting. There goes our food. I probably should get rid of the shovels. Yeah, why am I holding on to shovels? This would be one thing where the loot might be bigger. It's just 500 gold. 500 gold versus 775 gold. Right. And we'll just do a very prolonged walking backwards section here and show that that really didn't even add that much stress to me. This is too easy, but it's too long. So as a strategy, it doesn't make sense. Just keep on getting diseases.
Watch your step.
You can also notice that the narrator is not saying anything. I assume this is because there literally is nothing to really say. I'm just playing the game too well, according to its own system.
Packs full of steel and war, but nary a thought given to the plow.
Let's go ahead and toss this and take this. Not that it even is going to matter because we're going to have to toss it itself in a second. It's just not an inefficient use of your time at all to play this way. 250, we'll sell. We'll take that. We'll continue adventuring. Actually, we don't have any reason to continue to adventure.
The abbot will be grateful. The trappings of his faith have been restored.
So that got us 8,000 on a short run, which maybe we would have gotten 4,000 otherwise. It's gotten us a decent amount of upgrade things. I could easily see only getting maybe a third of that upgrade material. So maybe you're getting triple the reward in gold and upgrade materials in favor of taking twice as long. It gave me 6 XP resolve, which I question some of that. I also got 2 diseases, but diseases kinda don't matter as far as I can tell.
Take advantage of this faith-fueled charity. It will not last.
Okay. So the first question is, do we have a level 4? Yes, we do. So a level 4 leper.
This man understands that adversity and existence are one and the same.
Just means immediately we can get rid of
The task
that
ahead is terrible,
leper.
and weakness cannot be tolerated.
And we can give this and this to the leper. I feel like what's happening also is I'm potentially selling items and then just getting the same items back again. 12 dodge, 15% damage reduction. But the thing to check certainly here is that you have this level 4 leper that we just got. And he doesn't seem actually like he's at the maximum attack. Interesting. Everything to this point is at the max. And maybe everything would be at the max when this guy gets to level 5. So we need to experiment with that. Otherwise, it does seem like we just need to continuously try to reduce the costs of training, because I am going to have to come in here, apparently, and upgrade to the top tier for the other characters. Do we have enough of a team to take on the boss? Probably not. Like, we do just need to take advantage of this with everything being free. Do we have anything we could really upgrade? No. With everything being free, though, there's definitely a point here to just say, this guy can't do anything, this guy can do that, this guy can do that. That guy will only drink. That one, guess, can go there. That one can go there. That one can go there. Just make use of all that being free. Although I really don't want to do anything else. And this guy will only drink. And that still costs money. This guy will only go to the brothel. And that still costs money. These low-level characters don't really care about. So I've just put my entire A, B, and possibly C team in rehab, as it were. And while all of these characters here, I can't really upgrade anything, so it would be more of just a path to see of whether you could upgrade more things with this gold, which we really don't have that much gold. So it's probably smarter to say we're gonna take. Let's pick our team before we do anything else. Just remove all of those characters. We're gonna try and play this guy. We're going to try and play this guy. We can't play any 5s. We could bring the Houndmaster with us, or we could bring the healer with us. I think bringing the healer with us makes some sense. And we have a different occultist. Or should we play with Houndmaster again and just try and bring him up too? This guy has a lot of diseases on him. This guy's stresses are not really that big of a deal. So let's just swap over to that. Okay. So that's our team, I think. Let's see. This guy is at max. This one's at max. This one's at max. And this one's at max good. And then this one's at max everything. This one's at max everything. This one's at max everything. And this one's at max everything. So for that team, there's just nobody to really be concerned about. Probably would want to upgrade that and that on that guy. And that probably indicates you want to upgrade that and that on that guy. That and that on that guy. That and that on that guy. And then it starts to get really less likely that you would want to do anything else. We can see that there's a lot of disease people though, so yeah, let's opt to get rid of diseases. It's super cheap to get rid of diseases, so that's not really a big deal. And then you could think about trying to lock in something negative or get rid of negative traits, but as far as I can tell, that stuff doesn't really matter. We have a whole bunch of level 3 characters that now we would really want to replace just starting with level 4 characters. The game does seem like it's still going to have a kind of heavy requirement of upgrading to that 5th tier. If we play better by turning out the torch and we get a bunch of building resources much faster, then building like the cartographer's camp might actually be on the horizon now, where that really was boiling down to just a pipe dream. Right, so we've got still kind of a mid-tier challenge though. So I wouldn't want to take on anything too crazy here. Well, this says this isn't that crazy at level 3. We've got 4 level 4s and level 3s. Let's see if we can do it. Let's just hope. And I'm not gonna... I should probably refer back to the suggestion of the things to take here. I think anti-venom probably makes some sense. Probably less keys. Holy water is probably not necessary at all. I'm gonna take 16 torches. I'll take 2 of those. I'll take 2 bandages. Still feels like it's kind of fun to have laudanum around just to test it with things. And let's go.
The wild whispers of heresy roused the rabble to violent action.
Based on the levels, we should
What
be
was
able
the
to
general
take out
air
this
of
boss.
rebellion, that even my generous offer of gold to the local constabulary was rebuffed. To reassert my rule, I sought out unscrupulous men skilled in the
I
application
definitely
of
could be
force.
wrong here, and I
Tight-lipped
should take
and
on the first
terrifying,
run of the Darkest
These
Dungeon.
mercenaries brought with
Like
them a war
that may be
machine
the equivalent of a
terrible implication.
level 4 challenge, even though it's labeled as a level 6 challenge.
The smell of sulfur and gunpowder hangs in the air.
This is
The
going
war
to be
machine
a
is
long
close.
journey. Alright. Here we go. This is going to be a long journey, and I'm just not going to come back, so
Packs laden with loot
I'm going to take
are
everything
often
this
low
time.
on supplies.
And in a case like this, which is a long experience, a long straight
Nature
arrow.
herself,
Oh, I did
a
not take
victim to
any
the spreading
shovels.
corruption, malformed
That sucks.
with misintent. Watch your step.
One is going to hope that we get a shovel because I forgot to buy any. But I don't know if there's really a lot of chance of getting a shovel. Let's see. Little party. This character is in the wrong place.
Dazed, reeling, about to break.
Already our stress is pretty high. We may have to just flee very quickly here.
Precision and power.
That was a massive amount of damage. Although, I don't know if it still quite is enough.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden.
This is definitely a new character, heavy hitter. Gotta remember to point that out.
Soothed, sedated. The ground
Another
quakes.
critical. This guy might just have a really low critical. Oh, the tips and tricks video, which I don't even know the name of it, so I can't tell you what it is.
Their
Also
cursed
talked about
champion
like
falls.
how your speed basically needs to be +8 to always
wary.
move ahead in front of
Triumphant
everybody
pride
else.
precipitates a dizzying
So,
fall.
The odds are actually
Wealth
kind of
beyond
low.
measure.
awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
Yeah. The odds are just kind of low that you would always be able to move ahead, even though you should try for more speed.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands. Another one falls.
See how the bash
A
does.
decisive pummeling.
Critical 14. Does this character, the Bestial, have a stun effect? Because it may be much more of a stunning action. Moving around is not the right move. See, this is where a stall timer might really cause some problems. It's because you legitimately may be trying to kill the guy and his health may just be too high. 10 versus 14, the Bestial very well may do more damage.
Monster's size has no intrinsic merit, unless inordinate exsanguination be considered a virtue.
Just leave that.
Without
Another
tools of
one of
iron,
those.
you must rely on flesh and indefatigable purpose.
Yeah, we're already kind of screwed. The tips and trick video also talked about getting rid of compulsive actions that cause you to interact. That is something to particularly try and focus on.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
In this case, I may very well need to use the firewood fairly early. This may very well be a case where stress is just too high and these characters are just too low level to actually take on the boss, even though it seemed like you should be able to.
Slowly, gently. This is how a
We
life is
definitely
taken.
heard pretty much all the audio dialogue that's been recorded. I imagine the Darkest Dungeon and the boss fights have some unique lines of monologue, but that would be it.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Okay, we've got a lot. Does anybody else even want to eat food? No. Laudanum does not seem like it wants to get rid of Fearful either. So we want a shovel, but we also want this weapon. So let's get rid of that and take that. This is worth 250, this is worth 375, this is worth 500, so take that instead of that and then leave that. Coffin slightly ajar. Does the dog biscuit work on it? No. Does anything work on it? No. We need to go a few, at least one more room. Before
In
we
Radiance,
try
may
and
we
rest.
find victory.
Right. Does medicine do anything? No. Does dog biscuit do anything? No. Definitely feels like some of these are definitely jokes that imply even for a second that they would interact. Okay. Does laudanum do anything? No. Does a torch do anything? No. Does antivenom do nothing? No. Does medicine do nothing? No. Does a shovel do anything? No. And I went my shovel. I kind of suspect I might run into a boss fight. Or not a boss fight, but a fight. Heal the party. Attack the back guy.
Powerful blow.
While that guy is bleeding, we'll attack the foreground character. Maybe we could have taken out the back guy. And that bleed effect was nowhere as big as I suspected it might have been. Got a little blight on us. Seriously, that wasn't enough to kill him? A lot of times the Vestal really is not doing much, but just topping off the health of the other characters
Onslaught.
is way more helpful
Them all.
than it might seem. And inherently, I guess what I would want to see is that some characters at higher levels would have just a dice roll chance of potentially
victories mount,
healing
so
themselves
too will resistance.
instead of having a healer that is going to potentially... We'll go one more room, I guess. 100, 45, 70, 80. And see, because that was trapped and I couldn't use the item I would have liked to use on it. Okay. Well, we're going to a boss fight, aren't we? So we should wait longer, I guess. We're kind of in a decent position.
Glittering gold.
But like
trinkets
getting
and
50 gold
baubles,
there, almost certainly you would have
paid
gotten
for
more
in blood.
gold if you snuffed out your lantern, but you just can't really do that, not with these level characters.
Soothed. Sedated.
Take out one of these guys. guess it's questionable
Devastating blow.
if there would be a bigger slime. You kind of think that there would be, like one with 3 skeletons together or 4 skeletons together. And in this case, killing the bigger one probably is a smarter move.
A momentary abatement.
I am concerned about the stress levels of these characters.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
Slime's just summoning other slimes.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
Annihilated.
See if we can either leave some corpses or in some way prevent the slimes from respawning.
Death waits for the slightest lapse in
This
concentration.
may really cause a major problem, because if I have to get them all somewhat low but not too low so I can win in one turn, that's going to be annoying.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Again, I feel I'm going silent because I really don't have a lot to say here. Oh, this is ridiculous. Is the number of things that you kill going to
Destroyed.
potentially increase the
Their formation
reward?
is broken. Maintain
I'd
the
imagine
offensive.
it doesn't. I may have been better off healing this guy separately.
Decimated.
Yeah.
Ghoulish horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
Okay, have we tried everything here? Yes, we have.
A handsome reward for a task well performed.
See, this one still has that fearful effect, but Laudanum doesn't solve that effect. Nothing does. Laudanum sucks. It really does. Maybe it's only supposed to be used in the Darkest Dungeon runs. Maybe that would then make some sense, but
The wounds
so
of
far, the
war
fact that I've
can
been
be
able to
healed,
play over 30 hours,
but
it
never
feels like,
hidden.
without really having any use for Laudanum. Just makes it feel like it's yet another pointless element in the game.
Exposed to a killing blow.
And I guess in modern times, I just don't want that. I just don't want vendor trash. I don't want pointless items or heals or skills that you can't
Mortality
really
clarified in a
engage with
single
and play
strike.
with if you want to. I really just don't want that kind of fluff. I want things to be tight and concise and everything to be well balanced and tested out. And if it's not tight and concise and well balanced and tested out, just leave it on the cutting room floor. It's very much in line with the fact that I really wouldn't be super happy with sitting through a 2.5 hour movie nowadays, but a couple decades ago, it would have been very, very doable to sit through a 2.5-hour movie.
A singular strike.
Definitely am gonna need to camp after this. Heal yourself. Feels like we're losing momentum. Two crazy people is probably one too many, because it's just going to continuously add stress and make it worse for the non-crazy people. Like, this guy's about to also run into the ailment, and you only really get rid of these abilities if you get their stress all the way down to 0, which
A victory. Perhaps the turning point.
it's not really doable.
There can be no hope in this hell. No hope at all.
Yeah.
A moment of respite. A chance to steel oneself against the coming horrors.
Okay. All companions could reduce stress. Minus 20 stress on that. One companion minus 15 stress. Probably gonna have to do that. So chant could be done on this one. And that didn't work. We may not be able to do anything else. We had one of those fail and that went poorly. So this guy's at 143 stress, which very possibly means we're gonna just have to run.
Terrors may indeed stalk these shadows, but yonder, a glint of gold.
See, this is another ambush, but noticeably it doesn't seem like it's another ambush for the Shieldbreaker story. So I wonder if there is
executed.
an element that is preventing the Shieldbreaker story, or if the Shieldbreaker story is just different than what I thought it would be. Unless this starts spawning a bunch of slimes, I should be able to win from this fairly well. But that stress is going to be a killer. And there's never really a situation where stress is like a good thing. I've not seen any sub-boss or anything where that makes sense.
Well struck.
Heal everybody. Although I probably should just heal that character. Attack here. Attack here. Not really doing enough damage. Maybe the bleed effect would win.
By inches.
Okay, I don't mind losing that or that, I guess, so we'll just leave those. A curio and then a room with the battle, but our stress is just too high. I think you leave after this curio. Well, we still have a lot of items. I want to push it. I'm going to risk it a little bit more. But I really don't see how we get to the boss battle here. This is just an unfortunate event of how long the dungeon was and that there wasn't any shortcuts. We let the stress get far too high on the characters too early.
Impressive.
It almost feels like you could win at this fight. I guess if we just started to see the stress go down and down and down,
Palpable
that would
fear.
certainly make me think that there's a chance of that. But I do think common sense probably is screaming that I should
Compassion is a
flee.
rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
I do feel like these characters are getting a better experience because of their upgraded armor and skills. So one more upgrade in the armor and skills would potentially help.
A dizzying blow to body and brain.
It still just feels like it takes far too long.
A trifling victory.
Okay.
But a victory
So we sell the
nonetheless.
antivenom. We sell the medicine. Sell the laudanum. We take all that. We open this. Can we just take all that? Not quite. We need to, I imagine, sell the food instead. Yeah. We've got a safe room. Grab some more gold. Then we've got another battle. 99 here, 165 here. We just obviously just go to this curio here. Find that it's empty. And sadly that's just as far as we can go.
Regroup. Reassemble. Evil is timeless,
And
after all.
if there was certainly a level in which the game would remember that you killed everybody in the dungeon except for the last two battles, that would be great. Certainly I think I could beat that boss with a level 6 team, so we may very well just jump back into it. Undoubtedly we got a decent amount of upgrade material because it was a boss. Not really because we were snuffing out the candle, because we didn't ever do that. If we continuously get lucky and get more gold.
Once, our estate was the envy of this land.
Yeah, still just a lot of goals. We have raised more characters up to level 6. But you're not getting rewarded for raising the characters up to level 6. So I don't really have any faith that you would actually be rewarded if you...
Tortured and reclusive. This man is more dangerous than he seems.
Yeah. I don't think if you did every single thing that the game might ask of you in that list, you would be rewarded even then.
Every creature has a
Did
weakness.
get an achievement for getting that
The
up.
wise hero trains for what she will face.
Okay. Sort by level. This guy totally maxed out. Probably doesn't matter as much. Whereas that does matter, and that got me another achievement. That got me another achievement. And I guess we'll immediately think about selling something. Alright. Let's build our team. The whole system is messed up here. Really. We want this guy here. This guy here. This guy here. And who's our back character gonna be? So 5-5 here, 5-5 here, 5-5 here. Who did we also get to a 5-5? This guy? This one? Wouldn't be a terrible one that would be 5-5, but we didn't get it to 5-5. This one? It's the one we would want. Did we not level up anybody, our last character, to 5-5? I guess we didn't. Right. So, come back to this. We need another amount of money. Hero class, shield breaker. Healing received on the leper. Let's just look at our leper character and see if we want to equip that or not. Tin stress, accuracy and crit. Yeah. So let's sell that. We want to hold on to minus stresses and extra damages maybe. I'm trying to have kind of a collection of that. 25% virtue chance. Blight and disease resist. We'll sell that one. Extra dodge if torch is well lit. Are we really trying to completely remove characters at this point? Move resist plus 2 speed. Speed is like over 8. Yeah, I just don't think that this rare shield breaker item matters. Well, apparently I can't sell that. Anyways. Why can I not sell those 2 items? Maybe because the game wants me to give it to these guys? Or maybe because some of these items are just more valuable? I think getting rid of this guy makes a lot of sense.
The task ahead is terrible, and weakness cannot be tolerated.
Let's see. 8 dodge minus 1 speed, 20 damage. Alright, so we're just selling items. We sold items like crazy there, just so we can upgrade this character. And that's not even going to really touch upon that. I would like to upgrade this. I'd like to upgrade all of these abilities. If anything, it really does highlight that there's still a lot of room for improvement on these characters. We're just back to having no gold. And yeah, we're just not gonna do anything with stress at all. Alright. And we could certainly go for like a short run with a lower team and do fresh air in the tunnels to maybe make it easier to do the Swan God, or do Silence in the Crypts here, although we would need a high level team to do that, or Lost and Found maybe makes it easier to fight the Bug Island Siren. But more and more, Sunshine in the Thicket, same idea. More and more, what this is kind of boiling down to is I'm just going to have to keep on grinding and keep on trying until I can take out these bosses. This team is just not there. Like, it really isn't there as far as having all the skills up. We do have all of our dodge and HP bases and attack at the maximum now, but there's still a disease on this character and a lot of negative effects and just a ridiculous amount of gold that the idea just doesn't really quite make sense. It almost feels like what you should do for a game like this, and if this was a cell phone game, it would make a lot of sense to do this, is have a secondary gameplay mechanic where you recruit assistant characters or just recruit people to live at the estate, and every day they give you a daily reward to come back of some gold. And so you could take a week off and come back and have like 10,000 extra gold. You could upgrade the buildings to get more peasants, I guess is what you would call them in this case, to then give you more gold. If there was just kind of this passive income, anything more passive and doable than buying a bank, which, I mean, getting 5% per week may be the only way to really do some things in the long run if we can't get gold quicker some other way. But yeah, any kind of passive income that would give you more gold would solve some of the major problems. And unless it comes down to, as I level up this A team, all my other level 6 characters aren't going to matter so much, and all the level 3 and level 4 characters that I'd like to level up to level 6 are just not going to matter as much. There's a small possibility.
The campaign can wait.
I
For
definitely
now,
don't care
carnage
about the
goes.
DLC. I could take a level 3 Man-at-Arms as just a backup, but I just don't care. And then, as far as people dying, yeah, if we could get this character brought back, or this character brought back, or this character brought back, that would be nice. Otherwise, I would not even really care one bit about any of the other characters because they were all just so low level. Now, on harder difficulties, you lose the game after like 16 deaths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So at about week 26, I would have lost the game on a harder difficulty. I've killed about double the number of people that on those harder difficulties you would have been allowed to kill. Which I guess that's just another piece of evidence that says this game is probably not made for the likes of me. Yeah, and unfortunately I don't feel like those tips and tricks helped me quite that much, so I'm going to seek out yet another walkthrough. I don't think any of the suggestions that were given me were particularly super wrong. It's just I think that there is a difference in scale as far as how I would like to be done with this game in the next episode, and almost certainly I am not going to be done with this game in the next episode or the next 3 or 5 episodes really. Probably would take at least 5 episodes just to get successful at defeating all the bosses in the other areas before I even took on the Darkest Dungeon. And it probably would take at least 3 episodes to take on the Darkest Dungeon. So yeah, this is a long journey. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.